Hello and welcome back to Time for Gardening. If you're dreaming of a charming summer garden filled with cottage blooms, creativity, and a touch of vintage magic, you're in the right place. Today's video is all about transforming your garden fence into something truly enchanting, using upcycled treasures and flowers bursting with color. From old ladders and teacups to crystal drops and cabinet doors, you'll discover DIY ideas that are not only budget-friendly but also full of heart. So make yourself a cup of tea, sit back, and stay with us until the end. You won't want to miss a single bloom. An antique bed frame, once forgotten in storage, finds a new life as a stunning vertical trellis in your summer garden. Its ornate ironwork or weathered wooden form adds instant charm when placed against a rustic fence, where hollyhocks and sweet peas begin their gentle climb. The contrast between the aged structure and the vibrant colors of blooming flowers creates a romantic vignette that feels like it's straight out of a storybook. As summer progresses, the bed frame becomes a living sculpture, transforming daily as flowers stretch upward and bees buzz contentedly. This creative repurposing not only enhances the beauty of your garden, but also offers a conversation piece full of personality and nostalgia. It's a delightful reminder that the old can bloom again when paired with imagination and floral magic. Vintage shutters salvaged from flea markets or roadside finds become the backbone of a dreamy garden fence. Painted in muted tones or left in their chipped, rustic state, they provide texture and a sense of history behind swaying stalks of lavender and winding heirloom roses. The height and structure of the panels create privacy while allowing air and light to filter through with elegance. As lavender blooms and roses burst in color, the old shutters blend seamlessly into the scenery, framing the garden like a well-worn painting. The scent of herbs and petals fills the space, creating a sensory experience that feels both cultivated and wild. This inspiration proves that even architectural salvage can cradle the softness of a cottage garden. Old garden tools, those rusted rakes, bent spades, and forgotten trowels, are transformed into rustic wall art when mounted on your garden fence. Each piece tells a story of past seasons and the hands that tilled the earth. Arranged thoughtfully, these tools become sculptural silhouettes that draw the eye and celebrate the spirit of hands-on gardening. With cottage flowers blooming below, the contrast between the aged iron and delicate petals becomes a tribute to resilience and beauty. It's a fence that not only encloses but expresses, honoring the tools of the trade while welcoming in summer's floral bounty. This is a space where form meets function in the most poetic way. What once were broken plates and teacups now form a dazzling mosaic at the base of your garden fence. This patchwork of porcelain glimmers in the sunlight, adding whimsy and color where wood meets soil. With a nod to the cottagecore love of reimagined heirlooms, the mosaic border adds charm and visual rhythm to your fence line. As flowers like cosmos or pink dianthus sway nearby, their colors dance against the ceramic fragments, echoing floral patterns and old-world craftsmanship. It's a fusion of past and present, turning shards into storytelling pieces that complement every bloom above them. This detail gives your fence a grounding element full of nostalgic sparkle. A weathered wooden ladder finds new purpose when mounted horizontally against your garden fence. Each rung becomes a mini shelf, perfect for clay pots bursting with trailing petunias, cascading lobelia, or fragrant herbs. This vertical gardening method brings dimension and abundance to small or narrow spaces. As summer deepens, the shelves brim with movement and color, turning your fence into a floral wall of life. The ladder's rustic lines echo the simplicity of cottage living, while its function adds dynamic layers to your outdoor sanctuary. This makeover is a testament to how simple materials can yield breathtaking results. Repurposed tin cans, once humble kitchen staples, are brought to life with coats of pastel paint and turned into adorable flower pots. Hung evenly along the fence with vintage hooks or wire, they bring a pop of color and personality to an otherwise plain wooden backdrop. Each can become a canvas for zinnias, daisies, or snapdragons, offering vibrant blooms at eye level. As sunlight hits the metallic surfaces and petals spill over the rims, your fence transforms into a joyful gallery of summer charm. The varied heights and hues add rhythm to the garden scene, while the upcycled materials root the design in creativity and sustainability. It's a playful way to honor everyday objects while enhancing seasonal beauty. A patchwork-style fence crafted from salvaged barnwood creates a backdrop filled with texture and rustic warmth. Each board, in varying shades of gray, brown, and faded white, tells a different story from old farmhouses and outbuildings. The result is a beautifully layered fence that looks as if it's always been there, weathered by time and softened by nature. When surrounded by foxgloves, lupins, or soft-petaled roses, this rugged structure offers a perfect contrast. The juxtaposition of aged wood and lush flowers elevates the whole space, turning your fence into a living tableau of nostalgia and new life. It's a heartfelt design that celebrates imperfection and natural harmony. Delicate lace curtains hung between fence slats or wooden posts sway gently in the summer breeze, casting romantic shadows on the garden path. Their soft textures create an ethereal atmosphere, as if you've wandered into a secret garden hidden behind vintage linens. This unexpected use of textiles turns your fence into a dreamy architectural element. As the sun filters through the lace and falls onto blooming delphiniums or coral bells, the entire space feels enveloped in softness. It's a design that merges structure with intimacy, part garden, part boudoir escape. Ideal for morning coffee moments or twilight strolls, this makeover captures the soul of cottage serenity. Empty vintage window frames, affixed to your fence, become whimsical garden portals. Whether painted in white or left rustic, they add architectural interest while framing what lies beyond, be it a rose bush, a climbing clematis, or a distant birdhouse. These frames invite the eye to linger and appreciate the garden like fine art. Over time, as vines grow and flowers bloom behind each window, your fence takes on a layered, multidimensional feel. This is not just a fence, it's a gallery of living scenes. It offers both structure and surprise, reminding viewers to pause and look deeper into the garden's evolving story. Collected pieces of ornate wrought iron, perhaps from gates, bed frames, or salvaged railings, can be cleverly embedded into a standard wooden fence. Each iron section adds its own scrollwork and patina, creating a fence rich in character and visual interest. These fragments act as jewelry for your garden's border. Paired with flowering ground covers or tall hollyhocks, the iron accents become framing devices for the natural beauty behind them. The contrast between metal and bloom adds romance, while the aged textures bring a sense of timelessness. It's a nod to European cottage elegance, done with a hands-on upcycled twist. denim jeans or hanging fabric shoe organizers can be transformed into vertical garden pockets brimming with floral charm. Mounted against a wooden fence, each pocket becomes a cradle for petunias, pansies, or trailing herbs. Their playful texture and shape make the wall feel casual and full of movement, inviting a closer look. As the plants spill and trail from each pocket, the fence turns into a living quilt, a blend of fabric and flower that softens the hardscape. It's an especially delightful solution for small space gardeners looking to add vertical interest with minimal expense. Plus, the use of repurposed materials keeps the spirit of sustainability blooming right along with the flower. Weathered wooden drawers salvaged from discarded furniture can find new purpose as charming mounted planters. Attached to the fence at staggered heights, they become rustic boxes overflowing with marigolds, geraniums, or sweet alyssum. Their chunky shapes and faded finishes contrast beautifully with delicate petals and green leaves. Each drawer adds depth and nostalgia to the garden wall, creating a cozy cottage feel filled with memories and fragrance. As blooms tumble over their edges and bees begin to visit, the entire setup evokes the warmth of a garden that's been loved for generations. It's the kind of detail that sparks both conversation and admiration. Repurposed picture frames filled with chicken wire create the perfect structure for sweet peas to climb. Hung on a fence like windows into another world, they blend art and gardening into a single creative gesture. The peas find their way through the mesh, twining upward and bursting into soft pastel blooms. Over the course of the season, the frames transform into floral tapestries, alive with motion, scent, and seasonal charm. The juxtaposition of rigid frames and graceful tendrils makes each bloom stand out, turning your fence into an ever-changing masterpiece. It's a simple concept that delivers a delightful and layered effect. Vintage tin trays and old metal pans, polished or left rustic, can be mounted as reflective art pieces on a wooden fence. Positioned at varying heights, they catch sunlight and create tiny glimmers that dance across the garden during the day. Their circular or oval shapes add soft geometry to the straight lines of the fence. As the flowers bloom around them, phlox, daisies, or salvia, the trays reflect color and movement, enhancing the visual rhythm of your garden. This unexpected use of kitchen cast-offs adds a quirky elegance and keeps your garden alive with both light and whimsy. It's a clever way to repurpose while adding a gleaming, playful touch. Delicate porcelain teacups, mismatched and charming, become tiny vessels of beauty when filled with soil and strung along a fence. Each one cradles miniature blossoms like violas, moss roses, or tiny succulents, offering delightful surprises to anyone passing by. Their dainty appearance adds a touch of vintage romance to your garden wall. Hung in rows or scattered artistically, the teacups create an interactive moment, inviting guests to stop and admire the fine details. These petite planters echo the gentle pace of cottage life, where time slows down just enough to appreciate a single bloom in a delicate cup. It's garden poetry in porcelain. Natural materials like woven branches and old fence posts can come together to create a charming curved fence full of woodland cottage appeal. This style echoes traditional wattle fencing, with its handcrafted feel and gentle organic shapes. It blends effortlessly into the garden, especially when backed by tall foxgloves or framed by low wildflower borders. As the seasons pass, the structure weathers gracefully, taking on a silvery hue that only enhances its rustic beauty. The flexible nature of woven wood allows your fence to dance with the landscape, curving where needed and giving your space a uniquely personal touch. It's a fence that grows in harmony with the garden around it. A garden fence painted in soft pastel shades instantly brightens your outdoor space with a cheerful handcrafted feel. Blush pinks, mint greens, butter yellows, and robin's egg blues create a charming patchwork that recalls vintage cottages and playful summer days. The colors provide a whimsical backdrop for blooming daisies, roses, and lavender. As flowers sway in front of this colorful canvas, the entire space takes on a painterly quality, like stepping into a watercolor garden. The tones lift the mood and add a splash of character that feels both joyful and intentional. It's a simple makeover with a powerful visual impact, ideal for anyone seeking a touch of personality. Upcycled wooden crates stacked or staggered along the fence can act as open shelves that cradle pots, garden tools, or even tiny birdhouses. Their weathered textures bring warmth and depth to vertical space, while their boxy shape offers the perfect home for potted lavender, thyme, or nasturtiums. Over time, these crates begin to blend with the garden as vines curl around their edges and blooms overflow. They turn your fence into a layered display of rustic elegance and floral abundance. Perfect for small space gardening. This setup adds both form and function, with each crate telling its own blossoming story. An antique headboard, rescued from a second-hand shop or attic, becomes the foundation for a magical garden gate. Its carved details and aged wood create a sense of history and romance, setting the tone for the rest of your garden. Framed by climbing ivy or clematis, the gate invites guests to step into something special. As you open and close the gate, it feels like you're entering a storybook world where every bloom has meaning. The structure creates a focal point that adds both function and fantasy. It's a beautiful reminder that repurposed elements can unlock far more than space. They can open the imagination. Old baking tins, vintage molds, and decorative sconces can be mounted onto a garden fence to create a unique wall collage. Their metallic tones and varied shapes add visual texture, acting as sculptural elements that glint in the light and cast soft shadows on nearby flowers. Combined with nearby floral borders, perhaps daisies, bachelor's buttons, or calendula, these pieces take on new life. They become part of the garden's personality. Nostalgic, a little playful, and undeniably charming. This unconventional approach adds sparkle to a fence and celebrates the beauty of well-worn, well-loved kitchen treasures. cabinet doors, rescued from discarded furniture, offer a sturdy and decorative alternative to traditional fence boards. Hung side by side, they create a panel-style fence that can be painted with floral motifs, garden quotes, or left in their aged, distressed finish. Each door becomes a vertical canvas that tells its own story. With blooming cosmos or climbing nasturtiums nearby, the painted panels feel like works of art that flow naturally into the flower beds. Their vintage charm brings depth and individuality to the fence, transforming it from boundary to gallery wall. This is where creativity meets cottage style in the most delightful way. Recycled wine bottles turned upside down and placed along the top or bottom of a fence create a sparkling, colorful border that glows in the sunlight. Greens, blues, and ambers catch and scatter light through the garden, adding unexpected visual interest and a touch of enchantment. As the sun moves across the sky, the bottles shimmer among surrounding blooms, drawing attention to pathways and planting edges. The effect is subtle yet magical, especially when paired with flowering borders or trailing greenery. It's a sustainable detail that adds a refined bohemian edge to your summer garden. Mismatched drawer knobs and vintage hooks mounted across your fence provide the perfect perches for hanging baskets and floral pails. Each hook can cradle a burst of blooms. Think trailing fuchsia, petunias, or creeping jenny, bringing vertical life to every inch of wooden surface. Over time, this wall of hanging florals becomes a dynamic collage of color and texture. The variety in knob designs adds charm, while the living plants make each hook feel purposeful and ever-changing. It's a simple addition that multiplies both the beauty and bounty of your garden fence. Decorative old door knockers, key plates, and skeleton keys can be mounted like jewelry along a plain garden fence. Their intricate metalwork adds an element of mystery and elegance, transforming blank boards into a display of craftsmanship and character. As roses climb and lavender sways nearby, these vintage touches become quietly enchanting focal points. They suggest a history that lives just beneath the surface, a story your garden is still telling. With minimal effort, these accents turn reclaimed objects into emotional anchors within your outdoor sanctuary. Broken mirror pieces, arranged like mosaic tiles or placed sporadically along a fence, reflect the garden back at itself in dreamy fragments. These shards shimmer in the breeze, catching the glint of flower petals and the flutter of butterfly wings. The reflected light adds dimension to tight spaces, making even a small garden feel expansive and layered. As surrounding blooms grow and shift with the season, the mirror pieces capture every change like a memory in motion. It's a creative way to add both beauty and brightness with upcycled elegance. A classic split-rail fence, crafted from reclaimed wood, offers an open and airy structure that invites both breeze and birdsong. When decorated with delicate wind chimes, it adds sound to the visual pleasures of a garden, creating a space that truly awakens the senses. This design works beautifully in more open cottage layouts, where flower beds can spill freely beyond the rails. Planted with bee balm, daisies, or trailing verbena, the fence becomes part of the garden rather than just a boundary. The gentle music of the chimes dancing in the summer air adds rhythm to each garden moment, blending rustic charm with melodic serenity. It's a place where flowers bloom and the wind sings softly through. Vintage metal colanders, once at home in cozy kitchens, become delightful hanging planters when filled with trailing nasturtiums. Their holes provide built-in drainage, and their shapes cradle soil and blooms in the most charming way. Hung at different levels along the fence, they bring a touch of humor and surprise to your garden display. As nasturtium vines spill over the edges in brilliant orange and yellow hues, the colanders feel like floating bursts of sunshine. Their kitchen origins add a farmhouse twist, blending utility with whimsy. This cheerful setup proves that even the simplest cookware can find a second life surrounded by blossoms. Using chicken wire panels filled with straw or moss, you can create a living fence that hosts tiny plants right within its structure. This vertical garden approach is perfect for succulents, violas, or creeping thyme, especially in areas where space is tight but creativity is wide open. As the plants root and spread, the fence itself becomes a textured backdrop of greens and blooms. It transforms from barrier to habitat, home to pollinators, a conversation starter, and a hands-on gardening project in one. With every new sprout, your fence becomes more alive and expressive. Upcycled chandelier crystals, suspended from pergolas or fence beams, catch the sunlight and refract it in dazzling ways. These sparkling drops hang like garden jewels, creating an air of romance and whimsy in even the simplest spaces. Whether used to frame a gate or border a rose arbor, they add a touch of magic. When the wind moves them and the light plays across their facets, the crystals dance among the flowers, enhancing the feeling of enchantment. Paired with delicate blooms like cosmos or clematis, they transform your fence into something cinematic and dreamlike, perfect for the whimsical heart of a cottage garden. Whimsical and welcoming vintage teapots and tin watering cans can be turned into birdhouses that line your garden fence. Hung securely with their spouts or handles facing outward, they offer both charm and shelter for feathered visitors. Their shapes and patinas add instant storybook appeal. As birds nest and flowers bloom around them, your fence takes on a life of its own, alive with motion, music, and gentle flutters. The combination of upcycling and wildlife-friendly design embodies the soul of cottage gardening. Resourceful, romantic, and full of care. It's not just a makeover, it's an invitation to life. Thank you so much for spending time with us in the garden today. We hope you feel inspired to turn your fence into a canvas of creativity and cottage charm. Whether you use vintage tools, pastel paint, or trailing nasturtiums, each small touch adds life and love to your space. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave us a comment below. We love hearing about your garden transformations and DIY ideas. Until next time, keep growing, keep creating, and keep blooming with time for gardening.